I'll just claim abuse and take everything in the divorce, my wife told her sister on the phone. No one will question a woman's story these days. She didn't know I had installed a security camera in the living room with audio. I didn't confront her, just took the footage straight to my lawyer. In court, her case fell apart in minutes. 3 weeks later, she was sleeping on a friend's couch, begging me to be civil. Some marriages end with a whimper. Mine ended with a recording that saved my life. After 12 years of marriage to Rachel, I thought I knew her. We met in college, built careers, bought a house in the suburbs, no kids by mutual choice. I was a software engineer who worked from home. She was a marketing executive who traveled frequently. Perfect setup, or so I thought. I'd noticed small changes in Rachel over the past year. More nights out with colleagues. Sudden password changes on her phone. Short temper over trivial issues. Classic signs, but I ignored them, thinking we were just going through a rough patch. Then the break-ins started in our neighborhood. 3 houses hit in 2 months. Nothing particularly valuable stolen, but enough to make everyone nervous. The community Facebook group was in full panic mode. I suggested installing security cameras. Rachel agreed immediately. Definitely. Whatever makes you feel safer, she said, kissing my cheek. That casual dismissal, like I was being paranoid, should have been my first real warning. I installed 4 cameras, front door, back door, garage, and living room, all with audio capability, all connected to cloud storage that only I could access. Rachel knew about 3 of them. The living room camera was installed inside the digital picture frame I'd given Rachel for our anniversary 3 months earlier. She'd placed it on the bookshelf herself, angled perfectly toward the couch where she liked to take her calls when I was working in my office. The irony isn't lost on me. 4 days after installation, I was in my office when I got a motion alert from the living room camera. Rachel was home earlier than expected. I almost dismissed the notification until I heard her say my name. Don't understand what Mark's problem is. He's been so clingy lately. She was on the phone, sprawled on our couch, feet up on the coffee table I'd built by hand as a wedding gift. No, I haven't told him yet. I'm waiting for the right time, she continued. My stomach clenched. Was she having an affair? Planning to leave? I kept listening. David says I should file first, get ahead of the narrative. David, her sister's husband, attorney specializing in divorce. The house is worth at least $650K now, plus his investments. If I file on grounds of emotional abuse, I could walk away with 70 to 80% of everything. My hands went cold. Emotional abuse? We had disagreements like any couple, but abuse? Then came the words that changed everything. I'll just claim abuse and take everything in the divorce. No one will question a woman's story these days. It's basically his word against mine, and you know how these cases go. Men are guilty until proven innocent. Her sister must have said something cautionary, because Rachel laughed, a sound I once loved, now suddenly sinister. Don't worry, I've been documenting everything. Every time he raises his voice, every time he forgets something I asked him to do. I'm building a paper trail. David says that's all I need. She continued talking, outlining her plan to claim I'd been controlling her finances. False, she earned more than me. Isolating her from friends, also false. I encouraged her social life and creating a hostile living environment. Besides, she added, his parents are loaded. He'll inherit eventually, and with the right settlement terms, I could get a piece of that too. I sat motionless, listening to my wife of 12 years plotting my financial execution. When the call ended, I reviewed the footage again. Then a third time, each replay revealing a stranger wearing my wife's face. I didn't confront her. Didn't storm into the living room demanding explanations. That would have given her ammunition, allowed her to claim I was exactly the monster she planned to paint me as. Instead, I downloaded the video, made 3 backup copies, and called James Chen, my college roommate turned cutthroat divorce attorney. Sent him the footage immediately. Jesus Christ, was his response after watching. She actually said all that out loud? In her own living room? You hit the evidence jackpot, Mark. For the next 2 weeks, I lived a double life. By day, I was the same work-from-home husband, maybe a bit quieter than usual. By night, I worked with James to prepare for the inevitable. We documented every financial account, secured my personal belongings and irreplaceable items in a storage unit, changed passwords on accounts that were solely mine, installed cameras in my car and office to ensure I had evidence if she tried to stage an incident. I waited for her to make the first move. James warned me that filing first might make me look like the aggressor. Better to let her spring the trap and then dismantle it completely. 17 days after I heard her call, Rachel sat me down at our dining table. Her expression was a masterclass in manufactured concern. "Mark, I think we need to talk about us. I haven't been happy for a while, and I don't think you have either." I nodded, the perfect picture of sad resignation. "I think we should separate. I've already spoken to an attorney." Her voice caught slightly, practiced emotion. "This isn't easy for me." "I understand," I said quietly. "Should I get a lawyer too?" She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. "That's probably best. But Mark, let's keep this civil. No need to make it ugly." I almost laughed at the irony. Of course, civil. 3 days later, I was served with divorce papers. The allegations were exactly as she'd outlined in the call: emotional abuse, financial control, hostile environment. She wanted the house, 75% of our assets, and alimony. I handed the papers directly to James, who filed our response the same day, along with a motion to dismiss her claims, citing evidence of premeditated fraud. When the preliminary hearing arrived, Rachel walked into the courtroom with the confidence of someone who believed victory was guaranteed. She even gave me a small, sad smile, like she pitied me. Her attorney, not David, wisely, opened with a compelling story about a controlled wife finally breaking free from her manipulative husband, painting me as a Jekyll and Hyde character, charming in public, monstrous in private. Then James stood up. "Your Honor, before we proceed further, I'd like to present evidence that Mrs. Parker's claims are not just false, but premeditated fraud upon this court." Rachel's face showed confusion, then alarm, as James set up the video. The timestamp clearly visible, her voice unmistakable. "I'll just claim abuse and take everything in the divorce. No one will question a woman's story these days." The color drained from her face. Her attorney frantically scribbled notes, then requested a brief recess. Request granted. In the hallway, I watched Rachel and her lawyer engaged in heated whispers. She kept shaking her head, gesturing angrily. When they returned, her lawyer's demeanor had completely changed. "Your Honor, in light of new evidence, my client wishes to revise her petition." The judge, a woman in her 60s with shrewd eyes, had watched the video twice. "I bet she does. Mr. Chen, your response?" James outlined our counterpetition. Divorce on grounds of fraud, division of assets per the equitable distribution laws of our state, no alimony, and Rachel covering my legal fees for the fraudulent claims. By the end of that single hearing, Rachel's case had imploded. The judge ordered a temporary freeze on our joint assets and set a date for the final settlement conference. Rachel tried to approach me afterward. James stepped between us. All communication through counsel from now on. The subsequent weeks moved quickly. Without her false claims, Rachel had no leverage. The settlement conference ended with her getting only what the law entitled her to: her personal property and roughly 40% of our marital assets. The house was ordered sold, proceeds split after I was reimbursed for the down payment I'd made with premarital funds. 3 weeks after the hearing, Rachel's sister, the same one from the phone call, reached out. Apparently, Rachel had been staying on her couch, unable to secure an apartment because the legal fees had decimated her savings. "She's a mess, Mark. Can't you just be civil and give her a little more to get started?" "I was civil," I replied. "She's the one who wanted to take everything." The divorce was finalized 4 months after her initial filing. I sold the house, bought a smaller place closer to downtown. Rachel eventually found a studio apartment and a new job in another state. The last message I received from her came 6 months after the final decree. "I know you hate me now, but I hope someday you'll understand I was just scared about the future." Everyone told me how men always come out ahead in divorces. I panicked. I didn't respond. Some betrayals can't be explained away with panic or fear. Some choices reveal the person you really are. The digital picture frame is still in my possession. I keep it as a reminder that sometimes the truth reveals itself exactly when you need it most. Update 3 months later. Since many asked for an update, here's where things stand. The house sold above asking price in this insane market. After reimbursing my initial down payment, the remaining equity was split according to the court order. I've settled into my new place, smaller, but with a workshop where I can finally build furniture without hearing complaints about the noise. James Chen has become a good friend, not just my attorney. We meet monthly for beers and chess. He's used my case, anonymized, in a presentation to other attorneys about the importance of thorough evidence gathering in the digital age. Several mutual friends initially took Rachel's side, assuming no woman would make up abuse claims without reason. The tide turned quickly once the truth circulated. Most apologized. Those who didn't are no longer in my life. Rachel has indeed moved across the country. According to her sister, who surprisingly still speaks to me occasionally, she's rebuilding her life and getting therapy. Her sister also admitted Rachel has a history of strategic exaggerations, which the family had normalized over the years. As for me, I've started dating casually. Nothing serious yet, but it's a start. The experience left me more cautious, but not bitter. I'm more careful about documentation in all areas of life, a habit that recently helped when a client tried claiming I hadn't delivered promised features in a project. For those wondering about legal repercussions for Rachel's false allegations, there weren't any, beyond losing her case. The judge called her actions morally reprehensible, but not technically perjury, since she made the statements before any legal proceedings began. The system isn't perfect. The most meaningful outcome was a message from a college acquaintance who read about my situation through mutual friends. He'd been falsely accused by his ex-wife and lost nearly everything. After hearing about my evidence strategy, he hired a PI who uncovered similar premeditation in his case. His motion for modified settlement is pending. Sometimes the worst experiences create ripples that help others. That's something at least. Edit to answer common questions. Yes, one-party recording consent is legal in my state, which is why the camera footage was admissible. No, I don't regret not confronting Rachel directly. That would have given her time to create counter-evidence or stage incidents. And yes, I did check with a therapist about whether I'd somehow been abusive without realizing it. After 6 sessions, his assessment was that I was dealing with normal marriage issues, not engaging in abuse.